Hey everyone, welcome back to Trailblazer Tube, where we unravel some of Reddit's juiciest AITA stories. Get ready to dive into another dramatic stories. Front row at your favorite artist's concert. Imagine waiting for hours in the cold, making sacrifices, and finally getting the dream spot. But then someone taps you on the shoulder and asks for your spot. What would you do? We are going to look into this intense story from Reddit's AITA community. In this story, the poster, let's call them Alex, shared how they traveled to another country for a once-in-a-lifetime concert experience. Alex had been a fan of the artist for 6 years, and they left no stone unturned. From buying GA tickets to arriving at the venue at 5 a.m. in freezing weather, waiting more than 10 hours to secure a coveted front row barricade spot. But just as Alex was basking in their hard-earned moment, a man claiming to be disabled approached and asked for their spot. What happened next stirred up emotions, and Alex is now asking, "Am I the asshole?" Let's read the full post together to understand all the details. A couple of weeks ago, I traveled to another country to see an artist I've been a fan of for 6 years. This was a once in a lifetime experience for me, and I'd been waiting months for it. I sacrificed a lot financially and mentally to make it happen. Since it was my first and probably only time seeing them, I went all out. I bought GA tickets and arrived at the queue at 5 a.m., even though the doors wouldn't open until 6:30 to 7 p.m., in freezing cold weather. I waited all day, hungry, cold, and dehydrated. But it was worth it, because when the doors opened, I secured a front row barricade spot right up against the stage. This was my dream spot. Then, a guy behind me tapped me on the shoulder and told me he was disabled. He said the venue was supposed to let disabled attendees in early, but they hadn't. He asked me to give him my spot at the barricade. Here's the thing. I know this venue is very accommodating for disabled attendees. I actually have friends with disabilities who've gone to shows here, and the staff always ensures they get to the front row safely during a designated time frame before it gets too crowded. Now, I'm a very short person, 155 centimeters or 5 feet 1 inch, and this guy was extremely tall, easily over 5 feet 5 inches. If I gave him my spot, I wouldn't be able to see anything at all because he would completely block my view. I honestly would have been willing to move if he wasn't so tall, or if I could still see from the second row. However, in this case, I knew I'd lose the view I had waited more than 10 hours for. I tried to compromise. I pointed out that the right side of the barricade was still open and suggested he go there. Since he's so tall, he'd still have a great view and could hold onto the rail for support. However, he refused, saying the view wasn't as good as where I was. While we were talking, that section filled up, and he became more insistent. He said he'd have a hard time if he couldn't take my spot. At this point, I got frustrated and explained. 1. If his disability was that serious, he should be in the accessible section, which is specifically designed for attendees with disabilities. 2. If he insisted on being in the standing section, he should have brought a support aid like a cane. I'd seen someone nearby with one. 3. If he spoke to security, they could escort him to the front row disabled seating, which has a fantastic view and is much more accommodating. After hearing this, he called me an asshole, told me to get fucked, and left. I feel like he just wanted my spot and wasn't being truthful. The venue offers several options for disabled attendees, and I tried to direct him to alternatives. I feel bad for saying no, but I don't think it was fair for him to ask me to sacrifice my entire experience. So, am I the asshole? Regarding the man's height, after everyone pointed it out, I have realized I indeed made a mistake. I don't live in a country that uses the metric system, and I should have double-checked my conversion instead of estimating from memory. I meant to say he was over 170 centimeters, probably around 175 to 180. Here's a quick recap of Alex's story. 1. Alex had waited for hours to secure their dream spot in front of the barricade. 2. A tall man behind them claimed to be disabled and asked for Alex's spot, saying the venue didn't let him in early as they should have. 3. Alex suggested alternatives like moving to the right side of the barricade or asking security for help to access the accessible section, but the man refused. 4. When Alex stood their ground, the man got upset, called Alex names, and walked away. Alex now feels conflicted. Were they wrong for holding on to the spot they worked so hard for? Alex pointed out that the venue had several accommodations for disabled attendees. From Alex's perspective, the man might not have been truthful and simply wanted the best spot without considering alternatives. So, let's think about it. Was Alex being selfish for not giving up their spot, or was it reasonable to stand their ground, given the effort they put into securing it? And what about the man? Should he have explored other options rather than insisting on Alex's spot? Was he justified in his frustration, or was his approach unfair? I would love to hear your thoughts. Was Alex in the wrong here, or was their decision justified? Have you ever faced a similar situation? Let me know in the comments below. Let's discuss. Let's take a look at another incredible story. Before we dive in, here's the full story as it was shared on Reddit. Feel free to pause the video to read through it in detail. My brother and his now wife got married 3 days ago. A very small destination ceremony under 15 people total. My now fiance and I extended our trip after everyone went home and spent a couple of days exploring the Grand Canyon, a couple hours north of the wedding where he proposed. When I shared the news with my brother and now SIL, he responded with hostility, saying that it looked like we were competing. I apologized, quickly realizing that he was advocating for my SIL and that she felt hurt, although I'm truly failing to understand why. I also texted her a separate apology and explained that it was not our intent to encroach and just wanted to share the news with family, and that it's my belief that there's room for happiness for everyone. She did not respond. In response to my apology, my brother doubled down and said the timing and location were hurtful and that we shouldn't plan around the wedding. Alright, here's a quick summary for those who just want the highlights. OP's brother recently had a small, intimate destination wedding. A few days after the wedding, while exploring the Grand Canyon, OP's partner proposed and they got engaged. When OP shared the news with her brother and new sister-in-law, the couple reacted with hostility, accusing OP of competing for attention and overshadowing their wedding. Despite offering apologies, the newlyweds weren't satisfied and felt hurt by the timing and location of the engagement. Now let's break this down. OP's brother and sister-in-law believe that the engagement shortly after the wedding was an attempt to steal their spotlight. But is it fair to assume malicious intent here? Let's explore both sides. From their perspective, weddings are a huge deal. The newlyweds might have felt overshadowed, especially since the engagement happened so close in time and near the wedding destination. To them, it might seem like OP turned their trip into a dual-purpose event, which could make them feel less special. But on the other hand, let's consider OP's side. The engagement wasn't at the wedding, nor was it shared during the ceremony. It happened days later at a different location and was shared after the wedding had concluded. OP likely saw it as a personal moment to share joy with family, not an attempt to compete. So, here's the million-dollar question. Is OP the asshole? Or is this just a case of misunderstood intentions? We want to hear from you. Was OP wrong for getting engaged and sharing the news so soon after the wedding? Or do you think the brother and SIL are overreacting? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. In the end, celebrations like weddings and engagements are meant to bring families closer together, not divide them. Let's hope this family can find a way to celebrate both milestones with love and understanding. Thanks for tuning into Trailblazer Tube. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more intriguing Reddit stories. Until next time, stay kind and curious.